From Hasbro, this is one of the authentic Starscream. I say authentics because that's just kind of the catch-all generic term for these more, let's say, dollar store variety of Transformers. They use the evergreen designs, and they come in a whole range of sizes. They go from being Scout Class to vaguely Deluxe to these guys, which are vaguely Voyager. Also, I just want to say this. Look at this. I like the evergreen Starscream design. I want that as a figure. I love how curvy he is. That Starscream doesn't quite look like that. Well, you can see the box here. Very simple. Just Transformers, Transformers. This guy's going to transform in 8 steps, and I don't even know if he has knees. Thing is, these figures are meant to be big, yes, but they're also meant to be as big as they can be while being as cheap as they can be. So I do want to check this guy out. Mostly because for like the past year, he's been hanging out at the Kroger I go to, and I don't know, I just started feeling bad for it. I feel really bad about this. I feel like I'm about to be really unfair to this figure. So there's a couple things I need to point out right now, right? Just for the sake of my own conscience. This figure is not made for me. This figure, more than likely, is not made for you. It's not for an adult collector. It's not for someone who is trying to build up a collection. This is a figure that is meant for children to be able to get a nice big Starscream for cheap. Keep this in mind, right? This guy is Voyager-sized. He's proper Voyager-sized. And alongside that, you want to know how much he costs? Well, I've gone to some dollar stores just to make sure that I had this right, because Kroger just overcharges on everything when it comes to toys. But at like a proper dollar store, it goes for about the same price as a Kingdom Core Class figure. You're looking at the $10 to $15 range, and you're getting a figure that's pretty massive. Doesn't have a lot of paint, doesn't have a lot of sculpting, doesn't have much of anything, but if I were a kid and I only had $10 and I really wanted a Starscream, I don't think I'd go for the small one. I'd want the big one, and I definitely can afford this one. So when I say the next bit of this review, right, I want you guys to recognize it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. This isn't a Generations figure. This isn't some third-party figure. This isn't trying to appeal to the adult collector or even older kids. It's trying to appeal to children that more than likely don't have a lot of pocket money, don't have a lot of money for toys, that just want to get some of their favorite characters. We need to recognize that now. Taking a closer look, and there are problems with this Starscream. Yep, that happens a lot. We'll get into that in a minute. But there are problems with this Starscream. He doesn't look the best. The head sculpt is very, very rough. I don't even know what they were going for. He almost looks more like a monkey than a robot. His torso is weird. His wings are weird. His arms are weird. But let's just get to it now. As it turns out, Starscream does have knees. So the knees are on these incredibly long stalks. I don't even know if you can see in there. Here, you can kind of see it. Let me zoom in. So they're on these incredibly long stalks with a ball joint at the bottom to kind of fake a knee. That makes him incredibly hard to stand up. Alongside that, look at his feet. Those are his feet. He's really hard to balance. He loves to fall down. So not a very stable Starscream. In theory, this Starscream has some decent articulation, but then you try to use it and just constant clicking, hollow plastic bits, nothing that feels all that tough or all that usable. It's hard to get him to do anything. So there is that. Alongside that, the figure just does not look all that good. Like there's no paint aside from like the face and here on the cockpit. All the rest of it's just the plastic parts. So it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't even stand all that well. And also, just to point this out, loose. Very, very loose. And also the cockpit feels like it's about to break off. So that's robot mode. Let's check out vehicle mode. Overall, the gem mode is fine. It's just not great. And the transformation to get here is such a nightmare. Like, sure, there's only 8 steps, so the figure falls apart as you're doing it. Also, there's not a lot of transformation going on. Hello, Starscream. You know what? Just to show you guys, I'm going to zoom out. I don't normally do this. I don't normally do transformations on the channel. But here, I want you guys to go back through this with me. So, we're going to move the guns. You can see that the arms plug into nothing. Oh, and the arm just came off. That's super cool. The arm has a hard time going back on. The reason I know that is because it fell off a lot when I was doing this before. So we'll move these back up. The wings get in the way of the arms, so you just kind of have to wrestle them past each other. Dupe. And come on, dupe. I suppose you could just take the wings off. That might be the easiest thing to do. Go ahead and pull the cockpit down. And then the legs, you just gotta pull. Yep, that's not gonna last long. And then fold out the feet and dupe, unconnect them. And now you can put the guns in. Dupe. And I'm gonna see, can we balance this figure again? There we go. Yeah, it's not a great figure. I need to stress again, I understand why this figure is made, right? When I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of money. And I would have liked a big Starscream, couldn't get one. Most of the Starscreams that came out were Voyager size, and you can't afford those. This is giving kids an option. But at the same time, it's so rickety. It feels like it's going to fall apart at any second. I'm usually pretty supportive of the Authentics. I like a few of them. I like the Shockwave, I like the Wheeljack, I like the smaller Authentics. But this is just terrible. Like the other Authentics, at least they're pretty sturdy feeling. This is just garbage. Let's just make this comparison as unfair as possible, putting one of my best built and most expensive Starscreams next to one of my worst built and cheapest Starscreams. Do I regret picking this guy up? Not really. At the end of the day, I can put him on a shelf, it's gonna look decent, this little oddity of a Starscream. It's not a good figure, I would not recommend it at all. Even if you were a kid and just really, really want a good Starscream, I'd honestly recommend some of the Cyberverse ones. There's a really good Cyberverse Deluxe right now. I say Cyberverse, Earthspark. There's an Earthspark Deluxe that was the Cyberverse Deluxe. It's a really, really good Starscream. There's a Warrior class that doesn't have movable legs, but at least still looks really good and has a decent jet mode. This Starscream it doesn't click, man. It just doesn't click.